Hi, Carol here. A warm welcome to my craft room. I'm going to explain the May box from the Hedgehog Hollow. It has the waffle flower stamp set. I'll talk about that later. The Nouveau beautiful embossing pad clear mark. And you have the Nouveau glitter pen. You're also going to get some papers. And here I used the papers, as you can see, for stamping off and masking. And yeah, look at that. I have masked in clear. I did some stamping in gold to use for coloring. You have this sweet, sweet die. And I love the font on that. And I had a blast creating this card for you. And as you can see, there's the paper. You're going to have an hour and almost 45 minutes worth of me today. And yeah, so I'll explain that later as well. I have to be careful that the black cardstock, the longer sheets were mine, but you get envelopes in here and you have some paper, textured paper. I love the colors of this texture paper. It's beautiful. And then you have this vellum with design on it. You have the sequins and the matching to the waffle flower set. And this is the little waffle flower flower. And you have the sentiments to go with that beautiful set from Waffle Flower called Sweet Ice Cream. I've been buying these little zipped up cases to put in the boxes until I'm ready, until after all of the project is done, and then I go back and I put everything that I use for that project, then I put the name on it and put it away so I can use it again. Now, this is made by Little Darling Rubber Stamps. I ordered it from LDRS Creative. And this is my first design team project for the Hedgehog Hollow. And I am delighted to be on the design team, as you saw at the beginning. But I had a rough couple of weeks trying to get this video up to you. And I mean, you would not believe it. And I'll explain it to you when I have time here in between the coloring stages. This is a card that is 8.5 by 5.5. And it has many, many elements in it, interactive elements. So this, I didn't know what I exactly was going to use it for. So what I did was I colored it in. I did 2 of them on my heavy cardstock, my 140-pound cardstock. And I took some reds in the Copic markers and I started coloring. But I'm going to end up cutting out just the top portion for this, and then I'm going to stamp again, and the wheel section I'll do separately. And you'll see why I do this. But as you're creating a card, you are actually creating. That's the process. So you really don't know whether your plan is going to change. But I carried on. I knew I would need to have the handle of this wagon. And is this not the cutest red wagon you've ever seen? I mean, talk about original. And I'll leave the links that bring you over. I think this is on clearance. I'm not sure, but I think it is. And you're going to get it for an exceptionally low price. And I think to have a wagon in your stash is the ultimate. There's so many things. You can use it for plants, for setting under a tree, for all kinds of yumminess. Sweet things, actually. Now, I chose to leave the coloring in, but in fast motion, because at, an hour and 45 minutes, this has got to be. This is my longest tutorial in history of me being on YouTube, for sure. But because there's 3 or 4, maybe possibly 5 interactive processes in one card, I felt I needed to make it as long as I could. And then you're saying, Carol, how many hours did you spend on this card? 33 hours of time I put into making this card, creating this card, where the camera was on for 33 hours and the edit was, it was a job. That's all I'm going to say. It was a real job to edit this down to an hour and 44 minutes. I had to take away, as you can see, practically 31 hours of designing time. And I chose to keep in what I thought was important. and take out those things that I thought wasn't. And you know, that's a big thing when you're editing. Anybody that does an edit in their tutorials knows it's a struggle because you put a lot of hours and you don't know what you want to keep in. And anyway, let's move on. While I'm coloring this beautiful ice cream, fudgicle, creamsicles, you name it. The Hedgehog Hollow kit for me is one that, sorry about the blur, I would want to have in my stash because this goes with so many opportunities of cards for children and adults alike. This is a beautiful waffle flower set. Now, I did it in gold. I outlined everything in gold. You know I do that. And here, I wanted to leave a little sweet, get it, sweet mark here. And I darkened it, and then I needed to lighten it up a bit. So you just take a lighter. I don't use my Zero Copic, as you know, very often for taking color out. I use the lighter color to take it off of the darker color. But I'm just going to go on, and if I feel needs be, I'll jump back in. I put some little clear dots on here to show that it was kind of dripping, you know, with that drippiness. And I have had a nice popsicle with those colors on it at one time in my life. It brought back so many memories. And then to make it look like it's like, you know, freezing ice, you just put your glossy accents. For me, I use the Nouveau Crystal Glaze. You can use whatever shines that you want. There's so many products out there, but I love the Nouveau. It's one of, you know, the Crystal Glaze is one of my favorite, dries really quick. And I'm going on to the creamsicle, and whatever I wanted to look like it was fudge or something that was, you know, shiny, I just went ahead and I went back a lot of times, even in these little images, to make them really look realistic. That was my goal, and that's why the tutorial was so crazy long. And it is, right? But I will explain to you. For the last 2 weeks, I've been watching my grandson. He's 4. So as you know, it's almost impossible to do a voiceover with children. It just is. You need to have somebody either, you know, outside playing with them so you can come in and edit. My tutorials are not short, so it doesn't make, you know, it. Look at that. Doesn't that cherry look like a real cherry? I was so proud of myself there. Yeah, I'll try to mention the color in that for reds, like to do any type of red, something you want to look realistic in fruit or in veggie, using reds. I'll try to put the colors that I use. And I just sat and relaxed and colored and colored and colored. And I did it in silver embossing powder and gold. I want to say both of them. And even if they didn't turn out crisp, like the second to the left over to the right, you can see some missing lines. It doesn't matter because you're going to color it. And it's going to look fantastic because it's ice cream. I mean, how can ice cream not look good, right? I want to take the time to explain where I've been right now while I'm coloring. I love this Sunday. I have to say that. Oh, if it wasn't 6:40 in the morning right now, I could eat one of those. But anywho, yeah, so I did get sick in between the last 2 weeks, and I had a migraine in there. But the worst of it all, even though like I watched my grandson, which was really enjoyable because his mom is taking a course and he needed Nana to watch him. So the voiceovers were impossible. I knew the video would be hard to render down to a reasonable time, and the edit, because it was 33 hours. Here I'm going over the places I want to stand out and to be thicker. I needed that handle to have some volume on it, so I put you can use glossy accents or the Nouveau glue and put it on the handle to make it bend, you know, as it's so thin you want it to have some substance to it. So anywho, if you can believe this, honestly, I could hardly believe it. My computers in our home crashed twice. I mean crashed, nothing. Nothing was where it just, everything was lost. We have a business, all my computers, they're all Apple. I had to go back. Once we got it up running, it took about 30 hours of Apple time and all of their top people trying to resolve the problems. I had to restore data on all of the computers. So yes, I was pretty well going crazy, to say the least. And then I was fine. I had some days I was editing a little bit here, a little bit there. It went down again. But this time it took 33 hours of this edit that I'm showing you was lost. Okay? It wasn't in my system, it wasn't in iMovie, it was gone. So I spent a day and a half again with Apple trying to retrieve it, trying to find it and put it over onto my external. And I don't know all the lingo, but I'm going to tell you, Apple is really good at finding out the problems with their machines. I don't have a problem. We had a couple of storms. We had a couple of power outages in that time. I don't know what caused it. Isn't this mouse just simply cute? I don't like mice. I don't like them as pets. Oh, and in between that time, I have to share with you, we had to put our beloved Cinnamon down. It'd be 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, and that just crushed me. We rescued her. As you know, I talk about her all the time. She was a gentle giant of a dog. She had cancer and she was going pretty fast, and it was the humane thing to do, and that was rough on me. So yeah, so that happened in between here. And then I was working the last 2 weeks, well, since I got the Hedgehog Hollow May kit, and I've been working on this project. And I didn't know, it was such a cute project. I wanted to use everything that was in the box. And you'll see that as we go on with the card base to put it together. So anyhow, yesterday, we thought we had all the computers in my home. Our business computers, my computer on my desk here, my other two computers that I use that aren't for my crafting, the large Apple one here that I use. We thought we had found it and everything was fine. I get up to do an edit last night and it crashed. I couldn't believe it. I was right in the middle of editing, and then just like snapping a finger, it was gone off my screen. I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't figure it out. But I got up really early this morning. I called Apple, and look at that. Here I am editing for you. So that's the reason. This is the squishy version of all the things that I've been dealing with for the last 2 weeks, and why I'm behind on putting up videos. And I apologize, but I think my subscribers are very understanding, and I thank you for your comments, your emails, and your concern for me. That it's wonderful. YouTube family is a wonderful family to have. So thank you very much. So let's continue. I took my cardstock here. Now this, if I don't mention it, it's my cardstock, my real heavy cardstock. I took some oxide inks because they're delicious, they're beautiful, they're smooth, creamy. Talk about creamy. Talk about a sundae. This ink is so creamy, it's crazy. I don't think you could mess up anything. If you tried to mess it up on purpose, it would look wonderful. So I needed this to take out as many sweet die cuts of this sweet word. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it, just looking at it. I think I did 3 sweet, and I did about 6 sweet white to stack them up. And I didn't know where I was going to use it here. I knew I wanted to have an awning. I wanted this to be a setting of back in the kind of 50s days when you used to go to the sweet shop, and sit up on a stool and have yourself a nice sundae or whatever and a pop. That was the kind of look I was going for. Or I was thinking with the awning, it could be an outside spot, where you went and bought your soda pop and your goodness. Now, I don't let anything go to waste. I took my Stampin' Up! Heart die and made as many hearts. There wasn't anything left as far as that paper was concerned. I hope I adequately show you all of the things to put together a card like this or similar. I took the LDRS Pedal Perfection accordion die number 8025 over on the LDRS Creative, and I'll leave the link, of course, to that because I designed for them. So, of course, I'm going to use their products and intermingle it here with the Hedgehog Hollow kit. So here I just made some markings. They're already in. It's an accordion die, so you already have the indent marks. So I have that over to the side. Now, I set everything out. When I have a plan and I don't know exactly how it's going to go, I set everything out in order so that I can look at it and make decisions from there. So here's the start. I took some more oxide inks, different colors. I took some paper, which is just typing paper, and cut it down because I wanted the top of my accordion die, which is the actual awning. And this awning is going to go up and down. You're going to love it. I know you are. I just, yeah, 33 hours of coming up with a card that totally, the reciprocant will totally go crazy looking at all of the cutesy wootsy elements in it. And what I did on the back of this, I want to stress this. If I use my 140-pound cardstock, if you're using heavyweight, even 110, all the creases on the back that bend, make sure you put Scotch tape behind there because I'm going to put paper over top so it doesn't matter. It will give me the stability I'm looking for to make those bends that are necessary when you have an awning. It's going to, bend forward, it's going to bend down, and it's going to go flat in the box. I'm working on making a beautiful box for this to send out to somebody. And yes, so I chose these beautiful ice cream colors to be on the awning. And what I had to do was just cut some pieces of typing paper. You don't want to use good typing paper. Grab all the delicious colors that look like ice cream in the oxide inks and go crazy. Now let's go on to our first element. I went in my stash and I found the one up from I think it's the 1-inch circle die. And then I wanted to find a scallop die. Okay, so you're going to need, I took out the We Are Memory Keepers, Stampin' Up. I wanted those dots. I wanted some clouds, that's Stampin' Up. I needed some teensy weensy, one teensy brad, and I used those brads I threw all over the arrows, and you'll see why the arrows come into play, are very important to me for this project. I wanted the color, that pop, and some pop dots. Yeah, talk about pop. And I set those aside. And I'm still, this is still in the creative stage. So I move forward and I use all of the colors that I could in repetition. I think there was 5 different colors. And then I went back to the blue. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. And then I went back to the blue and then I followed that through. So all the colors were uniform. Now we have to go on. I wanted to use my machine to make this. This is on heavy cardstock as well. This is holographic paper and it's a Heidi Swap. I used the Heidi Swap heating machine there to get this done for me. You can see the little bits. And I didn't know this was going to be on the back, the inside of the awning. And then I thought, no, that would make a beautiful mirror on the back set of what I was going to create. So I left it over there. Now, it has a die. I have a set that has this die. I have to tell you the story to this. It's straws. And I had this little piece cut out from the awning, and I needed to make 2 straws. And my friend Debbie, she is a wonderful friend of mine, sent me this Coca-Cola die set. I mean, it has Coca-Cola. Yeah, I mean, you could put anything in it, but when you're looking at it there, that's Coca-Cola, okay? And I have Coca-Cola antique bottles with the Coca-Cola in it from way back in the day. You know how they used to come in the case, and you know I'm a Coca-Cola pop bean. And in this die set, it had straws, it had the Coca-Cola, it had all the elements I needed to do to put that into play and this interactive portion. So I cut this off thinking, okay, maybe I'll use it on the inside right there. So I cut it down. And then I looked at it and I thought, do I want that like really shining? You know, and I set that aside once I did this. You're going to see me set a lot of things aside till I make up my mind how exactly. See how you can see the Scotch tape? Then I thought, no, I think I want to have these hearts because this We Are Memory Keepers die is remarkable. It pops those hearts out crazy. You know, the embossing folder is great. So I'm looking at it and I'm fussing with this, I'm fussing with the outside. What are you going to do? Before long, I had it, you know, I'm taking the, and I'm still working with the LDRS creative die, by the way, the awning die. And it's used for so many things, it's remarkable. So I need to make an outline because I do need to cut it off so it's only the awning. And I need to score it in 3 places. One to bend over the paper, the 8.5 by 5.5 sheet. It's heavy cardstock. Then I needed another score at the bottom. That's already there. I just scored it more to make it bend. Then you need one at the top. So you have 1, 2, actually 3 score marks on this. One to tuck behind your card, one to do the fold over, and one at the end. And look it's coming together. I'm telling you, I hope you like it as much as I liked creating it for you and for the Hedgehog Hollow. Alexandra's been very, very patient with me. I have been in touch with her, telling her all my woes on trying to put this project together. So here we go. We want to make this element. Now, I saw this on a YouTube video quickly. I can't even tell you where I saw it, but it's an interactive card. You know, I don't have the die, so I just had to design it myself. So this is what you're going to do. I'm going to slow it down from here on in. This sheet is the size of the card base that you're looking above it. So it's 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to count down and find the center. That's what I'm doing here. You're going to make a tick mark at the center on both sides because you're going to take a 1-inch round circle punch, as you can see to the far right. And it's an old punch. The handles even broke off. I use it all the time. So I did this to make that spinner, you know, that you spin around and it shows you objects on the top. I love this interactive. I knew it would be easy without having to purchase the die. My cardstock's so thick. You want 2 sheets of paper. You want to clip them out. You've already marked the center, so it's easy. 3/4 of the way in, you want to cut it and make them even. And if it isn't direct and it's heavy paper, just kind of add some pressure so you see the mark, then separate the cardstock and punch it out like I'm doing here. And you can see it's 3/4 of the way in, and that's so that you can put your finger on that scallop and move it. Now here is how I created it. In that pop Coca-Cola die set I was sent from my friend, in that die set there's that little wee portion that's on the Coca-Cola bottle to put, you know, it says Coca-Cola. I took that as my door window opening. You want to make sure that in your sentiment set you have a little piece, whether it be a heart, a square, a hexagon, whatever. It fits the shape of your little sentiments. And so I put a die cut. I took the circle, I put it down, or the scallop circle, then I put it down to where I had a little bit of it showing for my finger. And then I cut out, this is a separate sheet. I'm not using this. I needed to find the center to make a tiny little hole, so the big guy came out, my big crocodile. Yeah, the little one wouldn't go in far enough, so I had to take the big baby out. Love it. Put a little hole in the center of the card I'm going to use, okay? Yeah, I put that away. Now this is just a trial sheet with all of those holes in it because I need to find spacing to put all the sentiments, right? So I just went around and cut out all of these because I did trace that particular scallop die there, and you can see what I'm doing. So here I'm putting it on top of what I traced out, and I'm going to make a mark where I want the sentiments to be. So this is where I want to put all my little sentiments. Every other one, I only wanted 4 sentiments like that. Perfectly even, because you do have the trial piece you cut out. So you know that you've cut it into pie shapes. You know where each one is situated. And then I took another set out that I had, a donut set, to add a couple of little extra sentiments because I put "you are so," and then I needed sweet, mice out of the set that is in the Hedgehog Hollow set, and I'm getting ready to create. I punched out a 1-inch round circle, as you see right there on the right hand side on the, it's just under the block, and I put some pop dots on it because you're going to need to use that. You're going to need to cut that piece right there, cut a piece, center it, and cut a hole the same size as the hole there. And now we're going to add the words. So I've already made the marks where I want the holes to be, and then I'm going to stamp it. I'm going to add some embossing clear onto that. So I put, it was going to say "you are so," one is mice out of the set, one is cool, one is fun, and you know, I have to find things that are 3 or 4 little letters. So when I spin this, you're going to see it through the hole naturally that we're going to make on the top piece that goes over the actual scallop spinner, and I'll show you how we do that. So here I'm just getting ready. I use the LDRS Creative Black Little Mini ink. I love it. It's a hybrid ink, and you can work over top of it, whatever, with your Copics, whatever you're coloring with, it is safe. And I use the LDRS Creative Embossing Clear Powder. I have that 1-inch cutout die there with the pop dots on it. And now I'm going to erase all my markings. This way I know, and you know, if it's offset and you don't have it exactly clear, you just want as many words as you have. You could make 8 words here. But I took a pencil and I pie shaped it so that they were all even. I took my little pop dots on this card. Now I have the 2 bases. I'm going to need to put that my little brad in the hole, but the brad's going to go right here but pointing up. Okay, you're going to go to the back. I'm going to put another hole in here. Then you can see that's the little Coca-Cola piece because I didn't have another die to use that was small enough. So I used this one. It just, you know, both of them came at the same time, and I thought, this is awesome. You want a tiny little brad to put in there. You don't want a honkin' brad, just a tiny one. You only need a little piece of your scallop showing. I took some tape, and now we have to cut through the 2 pieces. I cut the washi tape small enough. I folded it over so the sticky was on top of the die. See how it's folded and the sticky's resting on top of the die, and the die is facing up. The cut portion is facing up. I'm going to put this perfectly. It's going to pick it up like that, and now when I run it through, it's perfectly proportioned to show that fun, and any other thing that passes around is going to be perfectly set because I put the washi tape and the die cut facing up, the washi tape on top. It picked up that die beautifully, and I cut it out. And now, as you can see, when you put that on your scallop and you turn it around, all we have to do now is create it, put it together. Now you want to put your brad through that 1-inch piece of round cardstock, the tiny one. Through that, now you have all the pop dots on there. You want to put it through that little 1-inch with the pop dots. Then you want to put that up through so that you're going to pinch it down on the good side with all your markings. So on the back of this, right here, you have the pop dot round circle. the brad's through it. The brad's white. I'm sorry, can you believe I put a white brad? You can't even see it, but it's through that. This is going to make it spin because the brad's in there. You have the pop dots picking it up off of the page. You're going to now take it and you're going to center one of those words. You're going to put a word there. Make sure that that spinner is like the scallop. I made it so that the scallop looks like a heart for your finger to flick. You know, when I put my words down, get it perfectly even and take all the backs off your pop dots. And when you put this down, it will be perfectly centered, raised up so that that will now spin when you put tape on. Look at that, see? Boop, 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 boop. There's the words. I'm so happy. Yes, and on top you're going to have a sentiment that says you're so, and then all the words, or whatever sentiment you want to have out of this wonderful waffle flower set, the ice cream, the sweet ice cream set. And now we can move on to actually creating it so that it will spin. So I need to take it off, the top portion off, because I have to color it. I took out my Copics and I turned on my air compressor and off I go. Lot of air. You can do this without having an air compressor. You don't need to spray it. You can do it with a nice round applicator, however you want. But this is what I decided to do. I put color, see right here, I just took typing paper so that, you know, it wouldn't get all over the place on small sections, on the small sections that, you know, we drew lines to make a pie shape out of it so it was all even. I took the smaller ones and I focused on making those colorful too, but on the words, when you're spinning it, I wanted to have the whole section, obviously, because if I did a little section, I would cut off my word. So I just went around, made all matching colors to what I colored the popsicles and ice cream and mice and all the goodness. And I wanted this and the awning to be so super crazy colorful that you would think you turned back time. And, you know, we're going out for a soda pop or an ice cream and having a blast. So here we go. I'm spraying it. I'm having a lot of fun. Wherever I make a mistake, if white is showing, I just go back and I'll show you that. I just use my marker and I will just fill it in. Yes, this was just quick, you know, quick and easy for me having the compressor. But, you know, you can buy the ones where you just have the can and the canister. That's what I started out with, and use it. So here I wanted to go a bit darker because I had made a mistake. It wasn't coming out even enough. So this is what I did. Look at that. You just take your marker, flick it like this. You don't need a compressor. It just made the work, because I had so much to do, a little easier. And now I'm going over it so you don't see any lines. And look at how beautiful it is. And on the little sections of the pie shape, I put some of the Nouveau Glaze. Now I take my finger and I put 2 pieces of paper over each side and then I slide it down like that. Yeah. I didn't do it the first time. I learned from doing this. So, oh, Carol, make sure you get a paper on there so that you don't get any on the other portions. Yeah, here I go. I know I did that. Here I go. Here I glue, here I goo, whatever. I just wanted to make sure it was thin. I didn't want big globs because it would stop the mechanism from spinning. Then I went back and every little scallop that I colored the color, I went back over and did the matching color on the edges. Do you need to do that? No, you're not going to really notice it because you're only going to see a small portion of it sticking out for your finger to manipulate it, the spinner part of it. But it's easy peasy. You need a scallop punch or die, any scallop die. You need a 1-inch little round circle. You need a brad. Yeah, I'm taking alcohol wipes. I always clean off my Copics when I'm finished and put it back. And oh, yes, my heart was pounding because it was coming out beautiful. So then I'm going to put it back together like I had it. The mechanism underneath is all situated. Now I have to raise it up with double-sided tape. Now it's that big Scotch roll folded in half, so it's too high. Yes, you need to have it even with the spinner, right? You don't want, you know, if it's higher, it's good, but if it's lower, it's not going to work. It's going to get stuck. You don't want your double-sided roll tape to hit the, actually, yeah, that's what I used right there. That big honkin' roll. I'm into roll number 2, I think. Then I put it all the way around, not making sure, even if it's that scallop die moves, make sure you kind of shift it because it's on a brad. And if it moves, you don't want it hitting anything because it will prevent it from smoothly going, you know, your finger manipulating it. And isn't this easy? We already have the mechanism on the bottom with the 1-inch circle. Now we put it down and it's finished. All we have to do is put the sentiment on it, and you have yourself a quick and easy. And I did this knowing I had one scallop die, a round circle die, some pop-up things, and a brad, and some sentiments, and you have yourself a spinner card. It's that easy. Or you can buy the set. I don't even remember who makes the set, but I'll try and look for it. I don't know. I just found it so easy to do. I've done this before, way back in the day. I think I have a tutorial up doing this. And then I saw, oh, look at that. They have a die. Yeah. So here I want to have the background kind of like a mirror. I wanted to look like a mirror. So I had some silver, kind of a flat, shiny. It was in between. You can see it right there. I thought that was nice, like a mirror behind there, because it's going to show all the little ice cream things you can buy and all the names of all the ice cream with the sentiments that are in this Hedgehog Hollow box. So I cut it down so that, you know, to where I thought it would look good. Because I did want to put a floor. I wanted to put something underneath that either you could put a beach, you know, where you have sand. You could do it so it looked like a 50s shop and do the red and black tiles. I was going to do that, but something else came into mind. Now I need to cut another panel, right? Only because I need to cut this off so that it's even with the piece. And I'm going to use that cut off piece that I, you know, made a replica of, because, you know, I always add, if I do a boo-boo, I'm going to need a covering for the front and back, the inside and the back. I made one for each of them anyway, but that's a different matter. We're not dealing with that. So now I wanted a sky. So underneath the awning, you have like a mirror type thing to show the sentiment saying what is for sale there. Then I had I think it's a Stampin' Up! Embossing folder that had clouds. So I cut that out after I embossed it, and I'm going to need to do the same thing. And all you have to do is set the paper there, put your punch, but don't punch down yet, and make the nice indent, and then take it off and punch it. And there you have it, a scene. The beginning of a scene for underneath my awning. This is sweet, I think. Yeah, and then you have those, above. Okay, let me say, I didn't use the hearts. I ended up changing underneath the awning. The hearts ended up too thick. I ended up putting the little dots, you know, that dotted folder that I showed you at the beginning, because I'm looking at it now and I'm going, oh, that's dots. Yes, so underneath you want to make one die cut out of the awning with whatever shape you want underneath your awning, and I chose to use the dots, the dotted one. And here I have my hearts again. I'm going to cut this, I'm going to cut this down because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do with this piece. I knew I had that dotted section underneath there. I don't know now because it's been a while what I'm doing with this, but we'll leave it. Yes, I can hear somebody out there cutting our grass. Right, starting right at the window where my craft room is. Isn't that great? As I'm doing a voiceover. Terrific. Yeah, it's my son cutting the grass. And here we go. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll put hearts on the bottom. That's what I was thinking here. And put the sweet up there, like on the top. Here's my creative stage. I probably didn't have to put this in. I didn't want to do it twice because I already put the sweet. I put 3 white and 1 of the beautiful orange from that paper. I put it already on top. So I didn't keep it in. There it is. It's raised up, and then I put the glaze over top so it's nice and shiny. and we're going to start creating. Now, remember how we had to cut out those little pieces from the to make that hole for the spinner? I decided to make a whole lot of those with just running it through my die cutting machine, my Vagabond, over and over and over and over again, because I'm going to make it look like it's a stone and sand style, like a grout, excuse me, not sand, a grout and stone tiles, grout and stone tiles. So I cut a lot of them out. As you can probably see, it's white right now underneath the wagon. I'm situating everything to see how much space I'm going to have. Now, right about here is when I decided, okay, I am going to have another scene when you open it up. I have enough of them cut. I put everything off to the side. This is the Heidi Swapp holographic foil that I made out of the cardstock. And now I set that aside because I am going to use it, but in a totally different way than anyone would expect to use that. It was a 33 hours of sheer joy making this card out of the May Hedgehog Hollow. Yes. Now, it's raining gold because you know I always put some gold in my tutorial, and I thought I would add it right here. What I did is I took black cardstock, I took the LDRS Creative Clear embossing powder, and the white. On this one, I'm doing it clear because I need some words for the background, you know, for the what we're selling underneath this awning. So I wanted it to be on the black. I added my baby powder first so that I wouldn't get any stray, because when you're working on black, make sure you add a lot of powder behind it. And here, all the words I needed, I'm going to do, you know, there's a lot of sentiments in this kit, and these kits are not expensive. You get a lot for your money inside that little box, so it's fantastic. I encourage you to go and check it out if you haven't already. And if you have this box kit, you're going to love it. There's my baby powder. And then I took the whole sheet here. I didn't take it off the plastic, and I put it down directly with my foam Fiskars stamp press, pressed it down using whatever you want to use. I use the the Nouveau Clear Mark to do this. And then here's where my gold came into play. And whatever stamp the first time I used, whatever didn't, I didn't worry about it. Just for the inside scene, I wanted a house, a shaker card house, over top of the spinner where my words are. The words are going to come up through the roof. Yes, up through the roof. So this is a Spellbinder die. I cut out the house. Now it's die cut. And I wanted to make it unique because I wanted a log cabin to look like a log cabin. On the side of the cabin, I wanted a mouse hole, a nice big mouse hole for my mice. They're bringing all that ice cream and stuff back to their house in the wagon, of course. So I went through my stash and look at that. I still haven't decided right yet that I'm going to cut the top off the roof here, the inside portion. I didn't cut anything. I left it in full construction. I just cut the inside section once I get it colored. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to grab some Copic markers. I'm going to take all those little parts out and set it over here and start coloring. Yes, and it does come off your Tim Holtz mat there, that nice little mat that's covering the glass. Comes off nicely, so you don't have to worry. You just take an alcohol wipe and go over it. So here you have it. I'm doing the house. Yeah, I thought I would just do it. I had this thing in my mind that if I did, you know, to use some of those little brown pieces, but I didn't. They're too teensy, and I don't know what was going through my mind right there. But anyway, I think it made it easier too to color, you know, that you don't rip any of those little holes. Isn't this the cutest house? I'll leave a link to that. But I needed this house to go as, you know, as a feature. So it's a log cabin, so you just want to make lines on the side, light and dark, but you're going to really darken them up later. Over top of the door, the window, just go crazy. I've already cut the portion on the inside that is the roof. I'm going over it once again to make the logs look darker, the windows, everything, because really the main element, you're not going to be staring at how you colored the wood. You're going to be staring at those words coming through your spinner portion. I'm going over it to look like logs in the dark brown Copic. I'm making these squiggly lines, then I take a darker brown and I make more lines to look like wood. And when it dried, it really did look like a little log cabin. It was so cutesy wootsy. So there you have it. I've got the gut portion added there. I still wanted to have, I wanted that little cutout to only be the portion. See, I only cut it just right so that I just hand cut it. I didn't put it through the die. And you can see the spinner coming through the roof, and this is going to be a shaker. You're going to have, I had to use the sequence that you get in the box, of course. So yeah, I made this a shaker house. And on the side of this house, you have, yeah, I'm going over the inside, all the inside, so no white shows. I'm sticking to that as well. You know me, if you watch my tutorials, and yeah, you're going to need a month, aren't you? To watch all hour and 45 minutes. Yes, this is a Guinness World Record for me as far as the time. But I love it because it's YouTube, and if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. If you want to just watch the ending to see how it looked, that's cool too. So here I'm making the ground. I'm setting out the grass area for my little mice to come back to their little mouse hole. I have enough room on the side of this die cut to put a little hole, and I used the holographic paper, the one that I put through the foil. I used that so you could really see that hole. And I used the little wee flower, yes, that you get in the box. It's a beautiful little flower, and I'll show you later where we use that. It's cute, cute, cute. Looks like a little daisy. So here we go. I added a little bit of orange to the background of this. It was looking way too brown. You know, you have to have the sunlight look on it and all that kind of stuff. And I was playing, right, for 33 hours. So, you know, I had time to do this. I went back over it. And, yeah, I darkened it up again and made the wood sections. You know me. I love to play. I love to just, I don't know. It's kind of this art form thing too, like a little painting. I look at it like a little painting that you're doing. You want your roof to go one way, right, and your logs to go straight up and down on the side of the house, and then tilt it because it looks better. It's more aesthetically pleasing. And yeah, so there you have that. So it's going to be a shaker house, so you're going to need a piece of acetate. I cut a piece of acetate the exact size of the house. I situated it here so I could lift the house off of it because it's a shaker. Underneath here, I'm going to need to put that tiny little strip. I'm just letting it sit there and dry for a little bit before I remove the house. Because I want my shaker bits to be able to slide, and the acetate is perfect. It's easy because, sorry about the head there, it's easy because all you have to do is put the shaker on top and it freely, see how I'm removing the house? I put the holographic paper there on the side so you can just wipe off anything that gets in the way. So there you have it. I wanted it to slide. I had another avenue I was going to go there. That's why that holographic paper's there, but no need to worry. I end up making that. I had that big piece like that because I already cut a hole in the house. So when you put it there, see how it shines? Your eye's going to go right there. Look at that. There's a mouse house on the side of that log cabin. And my little mouse is going to be there. So I put the little pieces. You can use the Scotch roll. I ended up buying a lot of these Doris adhesive foam strips. They're super, super skinny for projects like this. And I'll leave the link to that if you're interested, because look at that. You can use those strips. They're that thin to cover everything. I put my little sequins with all the bright colors of the ice cream colors inside the house. And I'm super pleased because when you turn that wheel, you have the same colors underneath the spinner. And there you have it. It is so easy peasy. It really is. If you have any questions, you can just leave it in the comments and I'll answer it for you. And here I'm going to make, valleys and grass and all kinds of goodness. Fooling around trying to see what I have to do. I cut by hand a piece for the sky. I'm going to airbrush the sky in soft blue colors and make it look like it has some clouds, some dimension. This makes you have the 3D look of hills. And for my wagon, any extra pieces, just cut them off and use it like that to give that, 3D look. Liquid glue, I use the Nouveau liquid glue. I'm almost out. I'm like squeezing the guts out of it to get it. So I use every piece. I put some, I'm growing a flower too, yes, and getting myself in the mood. And I put some double-sided tape on the bottom. As you can see here, I want to lift this piece up and I will cut the back off right here, trim it with my cutting knife, zoom right across the glass mat. Fantastic. Cutting on glass is that quick and easy. It's just right like going through butter. And butter, as I always would say. And now for these arrow brads. I cut them just with the Tim Holtz scissors. They're that easy. I've had these brads for 4 years. I bought them at Michael's, arrows. I didn't know when I was going to use them. I cut the brad, they're not brads, excuse me. They're those other things that you have to use your crocodile to press it down in. I'll come up with a name, I can't think of it right now, but I cut that section off. So all you have is the teensy weensy little arrows of it. And now I'll use the LDRS Creative. I think this one said it was in iced tea. And I had another stamp set. I needed a fence. And this fence looked very out there, with the old log house. It has grass on it and has birds above the fence. And it all came in handy. Sometimes you have to use your stash, even though, if you're building something, not everything is going to be in the box that you purchase. And the Hedgehog Hollow box had just about everything. But I'm building scenes. So I wanted to incorporate with my scene. I wanted to use I think I used everything but a few pieces of paper. I used all the sentiments. I used all of the animals, the ice cream. Yes, everything. So see how I cut it off? You can still tell I'm just using Nouveau glue. I'm not using anything special. It stayed on. This is to show the recipient this is the direction you're going to put your hand in the grooves of the heart. It looks like a little heart in there. And easy peasy. Like that, this section with the spinner, just have yourself, like I said, one scallop die the size of whatever size cardstock you have. That's going to look nice. A 1 inch or ½ inch, depends on the size of your card, right? To punch a hole in it on the side so that that scallop punch shows through. A 1 inch circle, one brad, pop dots. The brad goes up through, folds on the side of the sentiments, and then you are ready to go cut the hole. Easy peasy. So here we start the building. I have my fence. I didn't want the fence to run on the right hand side to take away from those arrows. My scene will be totally to the left. I'm adding those little Dury strips of double-sided tabs, adhesive foam, and getting all my animals I want to lift it up. This little guy's ear is going to direct you to the mouse house, the mouse hole. And I cut out the sentiment here on the bottom that says, I have my card right in front of me. Let's turn it. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy ice cream. And on the top it said, with ice cream, anything is. That's the sentiment for the spinner. So the sentiment reads at the top, With ice cream, anything is. And then you have the fun, you have the sweet, you have the mice, and you have, I can't remember what the other one is, but I can spin it. I'm sitting right here. You have with ice cream, everything is, I'm putting double-sided tape with my ATG gun here on the back because I'm going to use that later to cover the back piece and the inside piece. So here I just took my Tim Holtz dauber of my stain, blue stain, and gray stain. I took a blue and a gray because I wanted to match the mirror to the left with a little bit of gray in the sky. They kind of flowed together, I thought. And I'm going to go back while I'm drying that. With ice cream, everything is sweet, cool, fun, and mice. So now I'm going to put tape. This is going to be another shaker element. This is where, when you come to see underneath the awning what is for sale, you're going to see some things on ice cream images in here. So I took my glaze. Yeah, I put that there, but I thought, no, I don't want a mirror there. I'm kind of looking at it. This is how it's going to look when you open it. And to get a view of how I'm going to set it up, I took my reel. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's his red tongue. I'm trying to figure out where to cut out on my Coca-Cola can to get the word so you can tell this is Coca-Cola. Obviously with this little die set, and right beside the die set, see, you have another bigger element for the other pop die, but I use the smaller of the two. So I cut it out on my cuts like paper. I cut both of them, both of the pop dies out of black cardstock. It already has the score marks in it. I took the Nouveau glaze so that it looked like that there's already pop in there. I only put it up, I shortened the glaze just under the bottle, narrow part at the top. It has the little wee metal tops to the bottles. It has that in the die. I mean, so crazy cute. I'll have to ask her where this came from. She put it in a card in a sleeve for me and said, surprise. We all know I drink Coca-Cola. So there you have it. I mean, there's the little wee top part, the caps. Is that cute? And that's inside this little die. I couldn't believe it. I was going to cut out 3 of them to use as stools to sit there as you're having your ice cream and soda, and then put the mice sitting on top of the bottle of Coca-Cola. But I thought the mice were too large. Excuse me. Oh, good thing that's dry, isn't it? My glaze. Oh, he always wants to get his paws in everything. Okay, so let's move along. But I changed my mind on the mice thing. I found the mice in proportion to the Coca-Cola to be too large, so I went with another theme. I thought, I'm going to use those 2 straws that come with this Coca-Cola set, or pop, whatever, die cutting set, and I'm going to use it like the mice are drinking out of the Coca-Cola, like they're getting ready. Now, I needed to have another section, so I like my white. I noticed I got something on the back, I think it was. So I'm just preparing here to have another sheet. I cover it with my, let's see, this is my 4 or 5 inch, maybe it's my 5-inch Suquang tape roll. I covered this fully because I wanted to be nice and smooth. I'm just looking for my Tim Holtz scissors to cut this off as even as I can. And I set that aside, and I'll show you how and why I use this piece later on. And what's beautiful about that is you can make as many sections. You could make an album out of this, couldn't you? Here I'm using the glaze again to cover just some of the clouds because I wanted those sequins. Oh no, I had sprinkles from another kit, and they were perfect. The sprinkles, because you had sprinkles to your sundae, you had sprinkles to your ice cream. I thought, whoa, wait a minute, I have a kit that has sprinkles. So I wanted them to move freely because this is going to be a shaker. as well. I fit in as many elements as I could. See how I wanted them to sit on top, but it just didn't, I don't know, there was something about it that just seemed to take them. If I put ice cream behind there where the mirror look is, it took away, there's my spinner. I love this thing. I played with it the whole time I was creating. I just thought it was so cute. Now here I'm designing. I'm just trying to find a way to, can you believe it? He's holding a ice cream, and then I put a popsicle in his hand as well. These are the things, this is why you have to design it. And then as you can see, I stamped and cut out the wheel section to be separate because I wanted to raise the wagon up so it was three-dimensional. And the funny thing about this is I take it off and put it on, and take it off and put it on so many times, it's crazy. You know, you have to be, as we know, there's that little sentiment on the inside that says, with ice cream, anything is. And I make it like an arrow, so it's pointing. And I just needed to situate it so that obviously I couldn't use the sweet there, because you know, the arrow's pointing somewhere off in space. And yeah, so now I need to decide what I'm going to put on the flip portion here as the awning comes down. And it's not going to be that arrow, because that section is you can't buy happiness, but you can buy ice cream. So I thought, okay, Carol, concentrate on the floor. So I took that piece where I white embossed all the sentiments, you know, that were in there to deal with ice cream. I put different oxide ink colors on it. And then what you do is you let it dry, you take a baby wipe, and then the white will pop right up off of it. And I wanted it to be, as you can see, really soft colors. And these are the LDRS Creative hybrid inks that I'm using, the ones in the cubes. And look at how when you take a baby wipe, I don't know if I do it here, but the white emboss, yeah, here it is, will pop up off there. You can go over it and over it and over it, and the oxide inks just take to it. I left the outside darker than the inside a little bit. Loved it. And this is going to be the sections of the grouted tile flooring on the bottom. This is where that comes into play. Now, I put a section of that. I didn't want to waste anything that I had left over from cutting out all of the words. I put one on the top, one on the bottom, and then I thought, I'm not going to use this as a mirror up there. It's going to be an oversized popsicle. I mean, and look at all the pile of stuff on the bottom. This was everywhere, all of those little pieces, parts. See how I'm thinking, should it be there like as a mirror to hide the clouds from the actual mirror underneath the awning? And then I thought, are you kidding? This is a popsicle. So I put glue, double-sided tape or glue on the back. I rounded the tops like a popsicle. I put it side by side, and this is where everything came into shape. Yeah, I had to take it off for a minute, so I just used that little plastic Stampin' Up! Scraper thingy I had. And I took that up, and now I had to make it even. Then I scored it down the middle to look like, you know, where you break it. You know how it has a gully in a popsicle? And I thought, should I hide it like that with the Coca-Cola? And I thought, nope, you need a stick, Carol. So I took that, added my Copic up and down over top, left it just like that. I didn't smooth it out, so it looked like a stick. I put it on there. Is that not a popsicle or what? Then I took my stylus and made the ridge down the center, so it had that little gully. Yeah, I needed something more on the edge so it didn't look that sloppy. And here you go. I start the creative process. I took all of these pieces and I Copic colored them in every color that was in the sequins. You know, that sequin pack that comes in the Hedgehog Hollow box kit. I did all of these and more to put on the ground, and wham, there you go. I just lay it out there as I'm trying to decide, okay, this is going to be a shaker. I need to have some elements so that the clouds aren't like, you know, just pow right out there. And I need to do something with the Coca-Cola. So here's the plan. I'm going to have the Coca-Cola bottles all on one side. See up on the top of the awning that opens up? That's going to be one of those slider cards. I put a Canadian dime underneath, and that wagon's going to slide back and forth to conceal the sentiment and to hide the sentiment. Conceal it, and then show it. Yeah, it's nothing but a showcase of fun, this card. So on the outside, I put every day is, let me see, every day should be a Sunday. And, you know, you can take that in two ways, speaking. Every day should be a Sunday, right? And I love that sentiment. But if it was the way I was thinking, I'd have a capital S on Sunday. But this is an ice cream sundae. Now my thought process, okay, I have that wheel thing happening. Should I just have something fun, like a big fun sentiment in the middle of this, you know, showcasing all of those gut pieces? No, Carol, you shouldn't. Then I put hearts down the side of the awning to cover the actual breaking of the mirror and the clouds. That didn't happen. Now I'm cutting up the little sentiment pieces and setting them to the side, and this is when this came into play. How am I going to make the awning have something to secure it so it looks like a fun awning? And straws. I took 2 juice packs of my grandson and took those little straws that come with it, and I set those aside. Now I'm cutting out the sentiment that says, you're so sweet, I think. I have to look at what I used there, or if I even actually used it. I'm looking at my card. I didn't. So let's forget that one. Okay? I have the card in front of me because I did this so long ago, and with all these computer problems, I can't remember back. But I did use the LDRS beautiful hybrid ink to make my paste. I just took some white texture paste. I added the LDRS Lala Lavender, and I added some of the hybrid LDRS Pink Tutu. Mixed it up so it was nice and light, and there's my grout. Make it nice and sloppy because grout is sloppy. I need to situate my Coca-Cola bottles, and I just started to build. So the colorful bricks are, you want to move and situate your gut pieces if that's the style you're going to do. And then the cutout pieces with the white sentiments that, you know, are all over the place that say Sunday, mint to be, heart, flavor, popsicle, ice cream sprinkles. It has so mint flavor. You want to incorporate that in your ground. Now I'm doing the spraying for my clouds. I went back to the second piece. I bounced back and forth. I just cut out a wavy piece of paper, and now to make the clouds, I'm going to have to tilt, you know, upside down, sideways, just go anyway. I stayed with the light blues. And you can do whatever if you're doing it in this method. You can pounce this on, but I wanted it to be very subtle. So my blue colors were all white. Yeah, it was all white. I really liked it. Now I'm moving on to the grass. This is the fun thing, isn't it, about cards? You just take it and let your mind go crazy. I wanted to use the bright colors, like I said. I took a Tim Holtz stencil with these wildflowers. I did them in 2 shades of green, and then you're going to see I did it in a brown because my ice cream and that I wanted to really pop off the page, and my little mice. So I tried to make it disappear just a little bit by adding darker Copic colors to the grass, to the field here. That's the, you know, it kind of reminds me of a hay field, just kind of la 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 la, you know. And so then I thought, okay, I'm going to grab a really light caramel color Copic. I'll go over it and I'll ghost it. You can see I'm using a light and a dark caramel. And then I'll ghost it. Then I'll come in with some greens to tone it down. And you're going to have sentiment. You're going to have images over top of this. but I did want it to have the feel of a log cabin out in this distant farm. You know, it reminds me actually of our farm. And we had a chicken coop place out in the back here in the day, and it just looked like this. It just gave me that feel. And then I took a gray, a dark gray, a light gray, and the cool grays, and I put some shade. And also remembering when I put this down that the wagon had the wheels separate. Then I put the wheels flat, and then I raised up the wagon, and I put that glossy accent, the crystal glaze, on the handle of the wagon to make it sturdy. Then I start assembling the little cute mice, making sure that I put shadows where they belong, like with the mouse on the left. He'll have some shadow in front of him. And yeah, just creating a fun scene. Whether you get the shadows right, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just a fun time to assemble something that just when you look at it as a receiver of a card like this, you just have a big smile on your face. And it, you know, so many cute little elements, and the Hedgehog Hollow box. This is the reason, with all the supplies in there, that you're able to create so much fun in one card. So here you have it. I'm just situating the two little mice, one at each end, getting enough of those fudgicle popsicles in the wagon. Some were raised up and some were flat. And a shaker on the log house, the sentiment pointing to the turnabout sentiments, you know. The fence with some little birds flying behind there, look like they're coming over. The hills, the valleys, the arrows, I mean, everything is there to just say that you created something for somebody else to enjoy. And I think that's the beauty of it. I have one more ice cream. Okay, where is this going to go? Yeah, here it is. Yay! I decided to put it on the fence. Woohoo! Now we haven't finished the front, so I have to continue here. I have this other wagon. I chose to keep the wagon flat because it is going to go on top as a, on the inside of the flap of the awning. It is going to go on the acetate here with a dime, you know, a Canadian dime on the back, so that it rolls back and forth. I took the Stampin' Up! Tag punch, and I punched it once, because you have to situate this that the wagon doesn't come off the awning and it doesn't go, you know, the back of the wagon isn't off the right hand side. So all you do is set your acetate up on top of the awning, take your wagon, and then point it to the middle, like of the acetate part you punched out, which would be the Stampin' Up! Tag punch, and then put the dime on the back of dimensional, and then you just slide that dime inside the punched out acetate tag. And there you have it. I'm just making sure there's no glue that's going to hesitate and stop this from going back and forth. Then after, this is why I didn't cut that acetate first. I want to see how I'm going to situate that underneath the awning to where I need to cut it. If you do it first, then you don't have any, you're obligated to that size. But here I'm not. I also put those little dots, you know, the colored dots underneath to add some more wow factor of ice cream colors. I had more sprinkles. Now, I left this in the edit because how crazy fun is this? I have a hole from the tag punch. A literal hole. How? Because that wagon has to go back and forth. So guess where those sprinkles are going to end up? All of them are going to end up out of the hole. And my granddaughter was sitting beside me, Kayla, and she said, Nanny, there's a hole in there in your acetate. How are those sprinkles going to stay there? She's showing me. You see her arm there? How are they going to stay there? Well, we laughed for at least 10 minutes. It was hysterical. So then she said, Nanny, you know what you need to do? Here she is helping me along. You need to put more of the double-sided tape to raise it up so that the wagon doesn't tip, right? Because it's only sitting on that dime. And genius, genius, genius to you, Kayla. That's exactly what I had to do. So I took my Dury strips, because they're really thin, and I put them again right here. See that? That's going to eliminate that from falling. It's going to hit that. It's going to allow me, once I put the gold strips on top, because you can't leave it like this. I did have to have a plan. And gold is always my plan. My gold stickers, you know I use them all the time. I have to have gold. And I wanted to match it. See where the ice cream is? And I put sprinkles out of the Hedgehog Hollow kit over there with the clouds. I matched the same gold going around this segment. And this is just another interactive part. You have the shaker parts. You now have, I needed to put a rope on the wagon to pull it back and forth. It had to be a sturdy rope, and it was in gold, of course. So I put the rope in between. Oh yes, I lowered the handle because it was hitting on the Dury strip. So I lowered it and made it look like it was shorter, which didn't matter. Look at, you can't tell. I put my gold string. It's stretchy. I put some, I tied a knot at each end so it wouldn't come apart. Then I cut it off, and then I put some glue at the top where I had folded it under to make that string attach itself, and I shortened it up as well. So that way it has enough stability to pull it back and forth. Some of the sprinkles stuck to the Dury's double-sided tape, which was perfect. You know, they're not going anywhere but out that little tag hole. Oh yes, hearts, hearts, hearts. Was I excited? And you know, when you're making a card, you love those mistakes because it breaks the monotony of just sitting there and creating. Then, you know, you make a mistake and then you have a good laugh at it, and then you go back. So on this gold stickers, I always add, you can use glossy accents, your Nouveau Glaze, whatever you have that is going to make sure that the sticker tape stays on forever. So I always go over it with this glaze, in my case, the Nouveau Glaze. And yeah, and it added that shiny feature that the everything that was added to this awning needed. And it had that weight. You had that surprise when you opened the awning. When you closed the awning, you had that beautiful, sweet die cut with like a creamsicle color. And now when you move it back and forth, you hide the sentiment. Not only do you hide the sentiment, because it says on the inside there, let me just look at it, it says "You're sweet," and then it has ice cream on there. So when you pull it back, you hide it, and when you push it forward, I'm just cleaning it up a little bit, you see it, and you see "You're sweet," and then it has "as ice cream." Yes, there's the "as" in there. You don't see it here. I'm just looking at my card, and yeah, "You're sweet as ice cream." That's what it says. And I'm just putting that on with the Nouveau glue on top of the acetate. I added one of those yummy, yummy ice creams and a couple of those hearts. I wanted to add a few of the hearts that I punched out of the sweet die. This is nothing but color. This is a card just expressing itself. There are the two mice that I put on there. I put them flat down, but I raised up the straws that they're holding. And here's my little juice straws. Yes, I am filling up the juice straws with the sprinkles. Oh, I'm telling you. And down at the bottom where the curve is, you know when you get those juice boxes, you have that curve? I cut it off at the top of the curve. I put clear glue, stuck it down in the hole, filled it up just a tad, you know, enough that it looked clear. It held those sprinkles at each end, and it dried perfectly. It looked gorgeous because you have the sprinkles where the clouds are. You have the sprinkles in the straw that's holding the awning. And what I did, I went to my stash and I got these large, they're not brads, they're eyelets. That's what they are, large eyelets. I'm still filling this up. I don't know why it looks like I'm swaying back and forth. I think it's because I was standing during this instead of sitting. And I'm filling them. Yes, it took a little bit of time, but you know, it's worth it because I'm on the second straw and it's beautiful. What an element. I was so pleased. You know, I was giving Hunter a juice pack and I saw the little straw, so I ran down into the fridge and scooped up 2 straws off of the little juice boxes. And this is what I came up with. And then using the clear glue at each end here, pushing it down, because when you put that nib in there, and push it down. And if you do this, if you're going to do this and you're going to put the eyelets, you want the straw to fit in the eyelet perfectly, right? So I put the eyelets on the inside of the flap. I turned the eyelet, it was a round mauve eyelet, and it had a big enough opening sticking up towards me that the straws would secure inside and hold my awning in place. Look at them, filled with sprinkles that match the shaky element where the clouds are with the sprinkles as well. You have the straws there with the, I made sure I put enough of the glossy accent type. Look at, I'm making sure that they're going to fit on each side, right? And then the eyelets go on. I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to, right there, just like a hockey stick. You put the bendable end, because when I put it in the box I'm making for it to be able to send it to somebody, you're going to want to bend that down flat and everything folded down beautifully to make a 1-inch box. That's the box level I'm going to be presenting to you at another time. There's my mice. Aren't they cute? There's the awning. Once I get my eyelets on there. Yeah, she's showing me. I love working with my grandchildren, you know. They have so much great input. And she's there. You better shake as much out as you can, Nanny, because people are going to wonder where all these sprinkles are coming from, right? So here's where I ran and grabbed the brads. I need to take this section off. Remember, I did this because I'm going to put it on the back. Yes, I want it to be very sturdy and I want it to be bright white. I don't want to miss out on anything. You know I love things to be heavy. I used my hot glue gun to put it down. Just picture a hockey stick and the bendable in the straw is at the bottom where the cardstock is, because that way I can fold it down to touch the card itself, put the awning flat down and put it in my box for mailing. And I think it's terrific. You know, you'd never know that wagon full of, that with the ice cream in it would be under there and that you could pull it back and forth to hide. That ice cream cone is hiding the sentiment sweet. And here I put the, and I want to make sure that I use the 2 holes on each end of the awning. I didn't want to use the second hole and the first, you know, the last hole. And here's the back of the card. I was going to put something on it, but I just resolved myself to keep the inside left clean and white and the back side white. Can you believe it? So here I've got the hot glue. I'm putting the straw down. I'm taking any of the hot glue out to take away from anything that doesn't look clean. And, excuse me. And I am just have enough room to put that right there. So that the awning, when that brad is turned upside down, and I'm sorry, the eyelet part is up facing you, and the clean part of it is how you're going to put the glue all the way around it and fasten it to one of those holes. It worked out perfect, and I'm so pleased that I had an eyelet, I want to call it a brad, that was perfect for the straw to set up inside and didn't take away from any of the element. I love the ground with the grout. All the words they're just subtle. They don't pop up, but they're subtly placed into the molding paste to look like grout. And I put the Sunday at the top because the sentiment says every day should be a Sunday. So I put the Sunday at the top, the cherry at the end of the sentiment strip, and then you open it up, and whoever receives this can just play, 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 and wonder, how did the sparkles get in the straw? Yes. And I went back actually in the edit. My each segment, like the 33 hours, was broken up. So yeah, I thought I missed this part, and I wanted to show you what I did. Inside, there's acetate over top of the clouds. Then I put the Dury strips around. Then I put the sentiment there that says sprinkles, because that's the key. I knew I was adding sprinkles as a shaker. I dried it with my heater, but you have to be careful. There's acetate down there. So then I put the sprinkles over top, and I changed it up. I had sprinkles in there. I took it off with the clear embossing powder, but on black. It didn't show up nicely. So I changed it to one that I did. Remember, I did them clear and white. So I put a white sprinkle in there, and so you could see it. And then I raised it up twice. I put this creamsicle, an ice cream, and a fudgicle in here. So yummy. And it took away from the clouds being separate from the mirror image I wanted, where the big popsicle was. I just didn't want I wanted to be just all about the ice cream and the sundae and the popsicles and the pop and all of it. And I wanted it to be just hugged with fun and sentiments and all of that. Yeah, I had to take some of that out. It was just, this Hedgehog Hollow box is a must for your stash. It has so many elements in it that you can use these sentiments. Here, what I'm doing, I cut a square piece larger than this is, okay? I wanted to make sure you knew that. Then I put it down because I can take my Tim Holtz scissors and cut around it easily because they're Teflon coated. If any scissor will do it. But it worked for me. I'm sorry, Fiskars scissor, my small one. And I just cut around it. And it was just cool. And then when I put the gold strips on there and I put the crystal glaze over top, it seeped down enough that it will protect it from any of those sprinkles getting out because it sealed it triple time. Yeah, so there it is. You have every day should be a Sunday, and you have the cherry and the sundae right next to it. That's raised 4 high, 3 white, and 1 with the tangerine. And yeah, I had to back it up because I forgot to show you how I put the mouse on here. And I raised the mouse up so I could tuck the straw down in there to make it look like he wants to get at that Coca-Cola and get a sip of it. His hand, I just cut a little portion in his little hand so that the straw could fit through, just cleaning it up there. And it came together. I'll show you how it did come together, actually, by putting thin black strips around the edges. And here, see how I didn't have those dots? I'm getting a close-up for you. This just screams fun to me. I don't know why. You have the Coca-Cola. It almost says Coke, and then it has taste. You can't get any better than that. The die cuts it out just like it's Coca-Cola. Look at the little silver lid to the Coke. And the straw, these, I did a little girl one on the left and a little boy one on the right. And they can't wait to have a sip of Coca-Cola. And they're doing it right beside the popsicle. You have all of those words in the ground, And here's where I had the idea to put super thin strips of black around the edges. One here. Now look at how this is framing it in. It's separating the awning. It will separate the shaker clouds, and it will separate the ground. It would totally pull it together because it just needed this, in my opinion. And it's super thin, And it adds some class to me to do something like this, I think. You know, it is a grounder. Plus, the mouse needed to have something to ground their feet on. You know, they can't just be up there. So I thought, what's better? And here's how I took the little glue dots and put them on. Isn't it amazing when you go to do a card that you have this kind of thing in your stash? You know, to have all the same colors as what I was working with and didn't even know it. It was just crazy. And it's nice to know you store everything in a certain spot. You can just go over and, you know. And like those zip-up bags, I'm putting all my design team projects in those zip-up bags with dates and all of the products so that in the future, now that my computers are set up properly and all of them are updated, running on the same system and running to my external hard drives instead of internally, it's going to prayerfully be a smooth sailing from today on. And what I needed to get my teensy weensy little eyeballs out and put them on all the mice. That's what I did. So yeah, I took my jewel picker and I placed a little real eyeball on there. It added that little something I thought it needed. Then I'll do another strip because I realized then as these little mice were coming alive, they needed a grounding for their feet. And then I have to put the gold strip around the sprinkle clouds so it has my gold element in it. Here we go, just tucking it under. Doesn't that make a big difference going across there like that? I really think it does to me. And it adds that little element with the dark black Coca-Cola. So it just, yeah, I love the way creators, all of us, find these little things, you know. And then I had to stick a little piece there, you know, because it had to have it there. The other Coke was closer to the popsicle. So yeah, we're getting down. Can you believe it? Only a few more minutes left. If you stuck this out, wow. Thank you very much. Thank you to Alexandra for waiting. As a design team member, you like to have as many projects up as you can. And like I said, it has been one of the roughest weeks as far as computer-wise for me that I can remember. Under this popsicle, I put the word popsicle. I didn't want it in white because the Coca-Cola and the taste is in white. I didn't want to take away from that. So I put it in black, the black embossing. And I just think it's altogether sweet. Just like it says on top, I added the glaze to the sweet. I think I told you that. I added the glaze to the ears. Anywhere I wanted something to pop out and look kind of slippery wet. And there you have it. I added on the inside ice cream mint, mint to be and sundae. Up at the top, I wanted to show you that as well, just so that, you know, you have this mirror type thing. And if you go in to enjoy yourself a popsicle or an ice cream or a Coca-Cola, you can see what this little shop has. And it has everything, doesn't it? I mean, anything you want on a nice hot day. It's fantastic. And you know me with my detail. I have to go in and clean everything up. And the dots, and there you have it. Oh yes, I'm getting out my strips to go around the edges, and then I'll put the glossy accents, or like I use the Nouveau Glaze. I cut it off. I think this is, and I put the glaze on top of the popsicle. Did I say that? That large popsicle? I think it came together. I've been staring at it every day. And that little die that comes with the waffle flower die inside the box, I used that there at the bottom. It just, I don't know, it needed it. And then I put a gold dot in the center because gold, you know, you have to have a little bit of gold in every project. And I just put it on from the sticker to match, so it matched the, you know, design going across. Now I'm going to pull in and show you how it looks a little close up, I think, on how we're finishing up. And yes, this was added to the end of my actual edit. I just wanted to show you here how I was going around, not letting it ooze out a lot. You can see I'm dotting it. And let's get a big close-up on that. See the clouds? They have some of the I put it on the flower. Is that mouse cute holding that straw? I mean, it all is matchy-matchy, and that is so cute, I think. And here I added this at the end. I forgot to show you what style of eyelet I used. I was looking for a large one, and I found it. This was perfect. Look at the size. And my granddaughter said, Nanny, you need to go with a subtle color. So I chose the mauve. I didn't want it bright yellow so that you're wondering, what's that there for? And I put the glue on the top portion. See how they're laying down on the glass mat? That's where I put the hot glue. And then I put it on the inside of the awning so that when the awning comes down, it will rest secure inside the straw. And I'll show you how we do that. I thought it was important to show you. I put a glob of hot glue there. I put my eyelet so that the opening of the eyelet, you can't see it from the outside at all. Total surprise. I put it around the edges, put the eyelet on, secured it, and the straws now will come down and they'll fit right inside the awning. Just like that. Look at it. Yeah, get it in there, Carol. Both at the end. I didn't have the left one on there properly, so I work with it, and then, oh, I know, it was pinched there. That's what it stays in there. Look at that. Then when you open it up, boop, 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 you move the wagon, cover up the sentiment, and it's just a fun card, especially for a child, you know. The back is nice and clean, and now we have to put on, I'm just taking glue strands off of it. Now we have to put the back on, and yeah, and then the straws. Look at, you've got this element, the spinner. You have just a whole lot of fun. That's what I think. See how the straws lie flat for putting it into my box, and I think you're going to love what I designed as far as the container for this. And I have to get this up to YouTube, so I didn't want to add it. I have a few features I had in this that I'll put on another tutorial for you. Now that my computers are all running and everything is great, and yeah, so today I dedicated my Saturday to doing nothing but voiceovers, and I started at 6:30 this morning. It's now 1:30 in the afternoon. I stopped for a short 15-minute break, and I've been going at it, trying to get this up. And I want to thank Alexandra over on the Hedgehog Hollow, and for being a design team member there, and for using this May kit. You will love it. Here I'm taking out a piece. I need to measure another piece, 8.5 by 5.5. So I'm pretty sure that's the measurements I said. Let me get this. It's, yes, 8.5 by 5.5. Yes, because I need to score this and tuck it to hold my 2 pages, right? You have to have your, it's like a gusset going around. You want to fold it, make gussets in it, fold it around like a book, like you're putting a binding on a book. And see, you have, and I had only this little 1/16 of an inch to work with. So I took the cardstock. This is light cardstock from out of the Hedgehog Hollow kit. And it's bendable, it's pliable, and I was able to, you know, put some skinny 1/16 of an inch tape, plus I used the crystal glaze on top of the tape so it would stay firm. So that's going down. Then you'll know with your design how many score marks you have to make a gusset out of it to fold it over. In my case, it was, I think, 1/2 inch that had to go around there, and you know, just enough to get another section on the back. And then I was able to add a little bit thicker piece to the back so that you know, I didn't want to put a 1/16 of an inch on the front, 1/16 of an inch, and fear every time you open it it's going to give way. And I put crystal glaze on it, and what I did on the back is, I don't know if I show it here, but I put that layer on the back. So yeah, it looked nice and clean, and you didn't see this strip going on it. There you have it, my friends. We have completed the May box. It was sweet, using the waffle flour, stamps, the sweet dye, all of the yummy products in there. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want to encourage you to go over to the Hedgehog Hollow. I will have all the links over on my blog, and I'll have a link to my blog so you can find all the supplies that I used in the May kit. And I encourage you to look at that May kit. And the June kit just came to me, so I will be doing some projects with that. I cannot wait. And now that my computers are up and running, I am super excited. You don't appreciate something, I guess, till you don't have it, right? And I'm just giving you an overview. I hope you enjoyed the May kit Hedgehog Hollow box. It's super affordable. It has so much in there. I think you're going to love it. Check it out. The June box is ready, and you can purchase that as well. Thank you for subscribing, thumbs up, and especially your comments. They mean the world to me. And check out the Hedgehog Hollow. Have yourself a blessed week.